Hey, it's AP, and today we're fixing my teleprompter. Check it out. Okay, we're behind the camera now. Well, next to the camera. This is my teleprompter. Yes, I use a teleprompter. If I didn't use a teleprompter, I would just ramble on and on with no clear throughput of what I'm trying to accomplish or communicate to you, and then everyone would just unsubscribe to my channel and move on with their lives. But, sorry. This is why I need a teleprompter, to keep me focused. I don't use a teleprompter all the time, but when I'm doing something big and I do need to communicate effectively and I want to make sure I hit all my points, I do use the teleprompter. This thing here is a GVM iPad teleprompter. What that means is that you use your iPad as the source of information, and it reflects off of this mirror here so I can read it. My camera sits in here, and it looks like I am just speaking so very eloquently. The thing I don't like about this tripod is a couple things. First, the camera I use has an offset lens. So if it's centered on the built-in iPad holder, it looks like I'm reading. It looks like I'm not looking at the lens. I'm looking to the right of the lens or the left of the lens, and it just looks weird. So recently I've started kind of just resting my iPad on top of this so it's a little more in front of the lens so it doesn't look weird. The problem is I could potentially bump this and knock my iPad over and break it, and while I can replace laptop batteries or MacBook batteries, I cannot replace a screen on an iPad. So I don't want to do that. Now, I've seen other teleprompters that have a tray system where you just rest your iPad on the tray and move on with your life. Now, I can't seem to find where to buy one of those trays, so I'm just going to make one. And I figured out how. It's super simple. I'm going to be able to repurpose the hardware on this by just attaching it to a piece of plywood. So let's head on over to the wood shop and I'll show you how to do that. You really only need like 2 pieces of wood for this. I have a scrap piece of 1/4-inch plywood, and fortunately it's kind of perfectly cut down to what I need it for. And then I have I have a piece of scrap pine from a project, and I'm going to use that to create a lip so when my iPad is attached to the teleprompter, it won't slide down. I might pick up some like grip tape or something to put on here, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So I'm just going to cut down the wood and then glue it on to this somewhat perfectly cut piece of 1/4-inch plywood. Okay. Found my speed square. I'm not even going to use my tape measure for this. I'm just going to line up one edge, mark it, cut it. All right. There we go. I'm just going to glue it on now, paint it, and then I'll attach the back. It's been a few hours, so I'm going to unclamp it, and the glue should be pretty strong now. So yeah, so that feels good. So I'm just going to run like a 120 grit sandpaper over the edges here. Probably should be wearing my mask. Cool. All right. Oh, that is nice. Okay. So I'm just going to go wipe this down with some tack cloth, and then we will put on the hardware that holds it to the teleprompter. Where's that tack cloth? What's great about the tablet holder for my teleprompter is that the hardware And so this piece kind of sits into the slot on the teleprompter bar, and these little nubs here keep it from turning. And this long bolt here, you just kind of screw that on and it tightens it down to the bar. But what's great is that it's just screwed on with some Phillips head screws, so I can easily remove this. I can't seem to find my little screwdriver, so I'm just going to use my drill bit. But it just unscrews. Now the screws are very, very tiny. So I don't know if that's going to hold into the wood. So we might have to get creative here. Well, these screws are super, super tiny. And that's not going to hold the wood. I need it to be at least another, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch before I feel confident in using this. And unfortunately, I don't have any in the shop. So we are going to the hardware store. And we're back. So I picked up some number 4 wood screws. They're 1/2 inch long, and they fit perfectly in here, and they give me just enough. Oh, I did this backwards. There we go. They fit right into the little hole, and they give me just enough to grip into my 1/4 inch plywood. Now, because they're so small though, you're gonna have to hand screw these with a sharp tip Phillips. I think it's called a number 2 Phillips. I think, don't quote me on that. I'll correct myself in some copy right about here. Now, before I add this though, I want to make sure that I get it nice and centered on the back. So I just need to find center, and then we will screw this down. All right, so depending on how thick your board is, you might need to add some spacers. So I have these number 8 washers here that I'm going to put underneath, and that's just going to help keep the tip from poking out. I'm using 2 on each side, and I don't know if this is going to look pretty, but it's going to be better than having your screws sticking out. So I'm just going to take my first 2, just kind of sandwich them together. Carefully put them here, put my screw in, and then we're going to place this. I think we're in a good place there. Yeah, I think. I'm just going to screw it in a little bit, just so it grabs. Right. Carefully slide them in. Put my screw in. And bam. Now, before I call it quits on this project, there's one last thing I'm going to do, and that's put some stain on here. I posted a progress picture on my Facebook page, and someone recommended that I make this black because it's going to reflect in the mirror. The light colored wood is going to provide some glare, and that's not good if I'm trying to read my lines. So I have some leftover ebony stain from a project from God knows how long ago, so I'm going to use that, and this will make it nice and dark to keep the glare down. So let's put the stain on. All right, the iPad holder has dried overnight. It is nice and, well, dry. And so now we just simply pop it on, and then we screw it. We'll tighten it down. And, well, would you look at that? That is awesome. Okay, and now I can place my iPad on here, and I can put it pretty much wherever I want. So my lens is right about here. So I'm going to place my iPad right about here So as I'm reading now, it will look like I'm not reading, and I'll be actually looking at the lens versus off to the side of the lens, which kind of disconnects you from your audience. So this was a great win. Super easy to do. Scrap wood, scrap stain, and I used the hardware that actually came with the teleprompter and just repurposed it for this. So, I mean, the cost of this, $0. I mean, if you have a shop, you know, then you probably have scrap wood that you can put this together. If you don't have a shop, you can easily go to Home Depot and find a piece of board that is small enough to fit on your teleprompter and hopefully just repurpose the hardware that came with your teleprompter's original holder. So a win for everyone in the teleprompter user world. Did you like this video? Did you find it helpful? Well, let me know in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up and share this video with a friend who you think could benefit from an awesome teleprompter upgrade. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That does help the channel grow. It doesn't cost you anything, and I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.